Third phase of moon.
In this special episode on Third Phase of Moon, we're going to go over two major mysteries that have still yet to be explained. If these videos are authentic, the implications could change the world. Now let's get started with this incredible encounter in the fields of Canada. It was on August 18th, 1991, West Carleton, Ontario. A housewife by the name of Diane Labnick was home when she heard her dogs barking. When she looked out the window to investigate, she saw red flames and smoke coming from a field nearby. She then saw a UFO-type object that landed next to the flames in the field. The ship then lifted up and disappeared into the trees. Diane claimed that about 10 minutes after the ship left, a helicopter flew over the area where she saw the lights. The helicopter then flew over her house and vanished. Diane went out to the site the next day, but she found nothing. She only told her husband and mother about the incident. Then 6 months later, in February of 1992, Bob Oshler, a UFO researcher, received a package from Canada. Inside the package were secret military documents, pictures, and a map and a videotape. The tape was labeled Guardian.
Well, that's the thing about this. There is no evidence, no new evidence. Everything I found was from 8-10 years ago when this one guy, I can't remember his name, he was trying to find Guardian. He was trying to find out who's behind it, who funded it, where did it come from? Is this really somebody who has made several of these videos with the thumbprint and the name Guardian and sending them off to different news sources, people that have connections maybe? It's probably one of the best hidden secrets on video that will ever be.
Having the opportunity to do a cold case file, especially on the Guardian story, is kind of a dream come true. I got to witness the broadcast of the Guardian footage. I think it was back in the 90s. I was in college and I was studying film. So, of course, I tried to think how I could do this myself, and it would be a very, very elaborate, costly project. But the participants in the video, some are still alive and are still doing the careers that they were entitled with on the show. For example, Gary Estabrooks, who was the polygraph expert who tested one of the witnesses, is legitimately a security consultant in Ontario to this day.
It had a fingerprint on it and showed the UFO that Diane had seen, specifically the video that showed the object next to the red flames on the ground. Then it showed an object mid-flight with blinking lights on top. The map directed Oshler to the West Charlton area where another UFO researcher, Graham Lightfoot, interviewed Diane and found out that her sighting matched the UFO that was on the video. Navy physicist Dr. Bruce Maccabee believes that the video that Diane captured is not a hoax. The object and the flash from the object appears to be real and coming from the sky. He believes the Guardian stumbled onto the site accidentally. Maccabee also found that the UFO had to be 20 to 30 feet in length, which also, according to Oshler, it was too large to be a hoax. The audio analysis of the tape only had the sound of dogs barking, probably Diane's dogs. The craft appeared to be silent. If it was staged, there most likely would have been sounds coming from generators that would be powering up the object's lights. A NASA specialist reviewed the tape and could not determine what the craft was. After the incident, unmarked helicopters of a black, green, or maroon color were seen throughout the West Carleton area. Although the military denies that the helicopters were theirs, Oshler believes that the key to finding out what the craft really was is the mysterious individual named Guardian. He believes that the Guardian had prior knowledge to the event of what was going to happen. However, the documents found along with the videotape lead some to question Guardian's credibility. The documents appeared to be classified government reports that discuss conspiracies about UFOs, Red China, and nuclear weapons. However, the papers appeared to be forged. A Canadian military official confirmed that there were multiple errors in the documents that proved that they are not real. Also, on the video, there are images of the Guardian that claimed an alien being, but further inspection revealed that it was probably someone wearing an alien mask. However, still many believe that the video of the UFO is real, despite the questionable items that were within it. Many are certain that if the Guardian could be found, the mystery could be explained.
We did find out about the alien autopsy video, remember? So maybe someday that will come to light on Guardian. I hope so. And in a way, I kind of hope not, because I want to live in that life where all this is really happening. It's not a helicopter, as Unsolved Mysteries tried saying. It's the fire was real. The witness was real. And even the witness went out into the field the next day where the fire was, and there was no marks on the ground. So was it fake? Maybe it was all an illusion. Maybe it was a hologram. I don't know. But at the end of that video, the light goes right on the video guy, saying, "We see you in the distance." Yeah, who is it? Crazy.
The possibility of it being a faked story is feasible and plausible and possible. Plausible and possible. But the amount of money to put together such an event just doesn't seem cost effective. And the videos that have been faked over the years have come out or been debunked, whereas this one is still a cold case or mystery today. I am going to say that this was an actual event, whether or not the object was a UFO or a helicopter, it was a landing zone with the flares, or it was a signal flares to have contact with possible aliens. We don't know for sure, and the fact that no one has come forward really keeps this as a mystery.
What's your thoughts on the Guardian videotape? Is it authentic, or is this a massive hoax? It is still yet to be explained. If the Guardian is out there, please reach out to us right here at Third Phase of Moon. Now we have another mystery that has still baffled us for years. It's the mysterious tape that made the internet pause for a moment. Skinny Bob is an alleged videotape containing footage of a gray-like alien. The video first appeared on the internet in early May 2011. The video became very popular in the UFO and alien research community, although it was speculated that the footage was a promotion for an upcoming film or TV series at the time. The video has been presented as alleged leak footage from the KGB, although this remains unconfirmed. While most skeptics claim the footage is a hoax, most true believers argue that it would cost a fortune to fake a video. Since 2011, no individuals have claimed credit for creating this video.
What do I think about Skinny Bob? Wow. After the research I've done recently, it is very difficult to find anything of its origination. This reminds me of Guardian as well. We just did some work looking for information on that as well. This might be, to answer the question, it might be a test to see how the public reacts when seeing a real alien. I don't know. There's something about Skinny Bob that does something for me. It's unique. It looks legit. I don't think even 10 years ago, well, they probably could have, but I'm not sure who made this. I can't find out who made it. I looked, I got some information on nothing. Other people have tried to find it. I tried putting the name together that's associated with this video, nothing. It is a mystery. And there's a lot to this mystery. Seeing the crash, it kind of looks real, but it kind of doesn't, but who knows?
Now, I'm not sure exactly when it was released online, but it has been out for a while and it has gone viral. Now, the video starts off with what looks like a government or royal crest logo of some sort that is blurry and cannot be made out, and it's in black and white gritty film. Then we see a object, UFO, hovering above a large home, being filmed from a vehicle as it's driving by. Then we go to another shot where it seems to be filming above the UFO, hovering over a city. Now, whether that's from another plane or a helicopter is still unknown. Then we go to what looks like a crash site. The UFO itself looks very simplistic, almost fake. And then we see the bodies on the ground and the one that's standing, and they have a depth of field. The possibility, yes, it could be CGI, but it's really darn good. And then when we see the close-ups of the face, the detail is immaculate. The shadows, the muscle movement in the face and above the eye. It's very well done with minute subtleties that someone that works with CGI would capture or notice and either applaud or go, maybe this isn't CGI.
Maybe that's why it's a little fuzzy, but you see aliens walking around, man. I don't know what else to tell you. It could be it could be a movie that was being made. Maybe they were making Close Encounters of the Third Kind Part 2. I don't know. But here we have Skinny Bob. Nobody's making any claims to this creation. I believe that this might be a legitimate alien or aliens. Look, it's easy to say it's fake because you don't have to do anything to say it's fake. But if you want to find out it's real, be my guest, do the research yourself. I mean, there's nothing there. But anyway, I think it's a test. I think we're being tested. Every now and then we're going to see some real stuff. This may be one of those. Where are the others?
CGI artists, they want to have claim to their work. They want people to know they did it. So they'll put something, whether it's hidden in the artwork or they're going to say something. And if they don't say anything, they might say something within their little tight, intimate circles. But after a decade or two, someone in those circles would eventually say, hey, I know who did that. And no one has done that. No one has taken claim to the video. So the mystery is still there, leaning more towards the direction of possibly being a real video. Because if it was, the real person is not going to want to take claim for it, probably for their own safety. But it's really well done. If it was CGI, we're talking James Cameron, like Avatar quality, or like the new Star Wars movies where they regenerate old actors as young actors. We didn't have that technology 10-15 years ago. It's just been a slow progression. So on this one, I'm going to lean towards the possibility of this being a legitimate video. The one point in this video that I question is the crash site with the UFO. It was very, very bland and hard to see, but everything else had me leaning towards possibility that it's real. Yes.
In 2001, when Dr. Jonathan Reed came forward with his evidence, people were kind of confused. Is this guy for real? And after looking at some of his stuff, some people kind of got on board with him and agreed that he may have had an encounter with an alien. But after looking at the footage a little closer, which we are right now, we're kind of figuring it out that this could be just one of the biggest hoaxes that we've seen in a long time.
This guy claims he was walking his dog, came across an alien that his dog ran away from him, and he hears yelping and whatnot. And by the time he gets to where the dog is, he sees an alien grabbing his dog, by the snout, by the bottom half of his jaw, and ripping him apart like the King Kong lizard split, you know, just taking it and ripping it. That to me is a little bit excessive and extreme, but the dog disappeared, he said. Just turned to ash and it was gone. That's why there's no evidence of his cute little dog.
He claims the alien actually grabbed the dog and flipped it from side to side and killed it, unfortunately. Such a sad thing, but we are looking at the video and we don't see any evidence of any sort of blood or a piece of the dog anywhere.
You got to feel for the guy. He gives a great performance. It seems that, you know, I've lost dogs that have grown up with all their lives, and unfortunately they pass away, and it's a very sad thing to deal with. And you could hear in his voice, he seems very, you know, troubled by what he just experienced. Apparently this alien killed his dog and he's in a panic, and you could feel his sorrow. It's a good performance, pretty much capable of winning an Academy Award in my opinion, other than him maybe not acting, that this is possibly real. That's what's kind of intriguing about this case. And when you look at this object in the forest as it hovers, or is it hovering, it definitely isn't CGI in my opinion. This is definitely something practical, something there, whether it's an illusion of suspended wires that we're not seeing elevating this object. It's hard to tell. We're not seeing any evidence of that, but it is, again, compelling to say the least.
The infamous Dr. Jonathan Reed story of the alien encounter, alien killing, the death of a dog, and lots of evidence. This story has been refuted by many, attempted to be debunked, but something about it keeps me intrigued. I know that something like this could have been faked, but by one specific individual.
He said the alien started vibrating, shaking so much, like a paint can at the Home Depot in one of the shakers. He said it made itself blurry for whatever reason, but he hit it with this branch, hits it in the back of the head. You can see when the alien falls to the ground. You can see it blinking when he's like touching it, moving it around, showing us, because he's documenting everything. He had his camera with him, and he decided to document it. So he was scanning the area, and he come across this UFO spaceship obelisk thing. It looked like a real stealthy type of UFO, kind of like triangle shaped, like an arrow almost, and it looked like it was hovering.
Without skill sets in film production or special effects, it's pretty good. Some say that the body that is wrapped is possibly paper mache. That I will have to say no.
He wraps the alien up. The alien he thinks is unconscious or dead. He's not sure, but he wraps it up in some stuff like a burrito, in this foil, whatever he had with it. Takes it back home. Can't sleep. Puts the alien in the freezer to keep it fresh, but he couldn't sleep, so he gets the alien out of the freezer and documents like an alien autopsy video, and puts his finger in the eye for whatever reason, and he's looking at the wound, and he's got the camera and all this. It looked, when I first saw this years ago, and that's why nobody's talking about it anymore, because people think it's been debunked. Well, there's a lot of holes in the story. A lot of holes. And one of them is there's no evidence,
Everybody's asking, where the heck is this alien body now? Shouldn't we have this in a museum or something? Well, he comes up with a story that's quite interesting and obviously cliche in my opinion of where this alien body is right now. He says in the middle of the night he was ransacked by some unknown force of engagement from faction of government that we're not aware of, and they came in, raided the place, and stole the body. So that's why the alien body doesn't exist in his possession right now. And that's a pretty, again, cliche story to come up with, that, oh, his house was raided and all of a sudden the body's gone.
We're taking a look at it again, and there's a lot of compelling things to it, and then there's some things that kind of gives a dead giveaway as screaming a hoax. The way he's moving the head from left to right in the kitchen, it seems like the head's not even connected to the body. I find that a little strange. It seems a little stiff, and some might say it's paper mache. And again, we don't know. We weren't there.
The fact that in the video you see the eye blinking and you see the pupil of the eye squashes any theory that this is a fake animatronic device. Not saying that that's not possible, but it's just too expensive. So the question I want to ask on this story is, why?
And again, when he brings this thing back home, what compels him? Shouldn't he have gone to the authorities and maybe say, hey guys, look what I just got? And it'd be more of a way to prove his legitimacy and what's really going on here.
Dr. Jonathan Reed, if he did this to hoax everybody, we're not seeing any kind of benefit on his part. If I'm not mistaken, he hasn't tried to sell any books or movie rights. He's just putting it out there, and apparently he hasn't made one single penny off any of these videos that have garnished millions and millions of views around the world on YouTube and on other social media platforms.
I don't believe it's fake. If the eye hadn't been blinking and the pupil and all that, I would have had strong doubt. But no, with the blinking of the eye, that has me thinking there's some legitimacy to this. Now, as we see in other videos, as his notoriety gained, there was an interview where he's on TV and he puts on the bracelet that he found at the encounter site.
Found in the forest in 1996 when I first encountered the creature, or the alien.
The guy did a little scan and he found supposedly a bracelet that has 3 prongs in it that go into your arm, clamps on, and it and it takes over, and he says there's pain at first because of the 3 needles going into your arm, and then it goes away and it gets cool, and then you feel the coolness from inside and it spreads outwards towards your extremities, and he disappears.
They make the decision whether
glow, the video camera starts to glitch, and then he that's the word I'm looking for, supposedly vanishes in front of a live audience. Now, up until that point, I feel there is a very strong case that there's legitimacy to this. Now, did Dr. Jonathan Reed, did he try to ride the coattails to this little 15 minutes of fame too hard, to where he went over the top with this whole disappearing act? Or is it legit?
It seems to me that he tried to do something that basically destroyed his career. Why would he do this after all the great evidence he had before, and to do this stunt where he puts on the bracelet and disappears in front of the audience? And they actually put audio enhancements like fake clapping and shock and awe from the crowd, when in reality I think it was done in a studio pretty much by himself, and try to make it look like that he did it in front of a live audience, which is insane. But you know, I think that was pretty much the last straw for people that followed Dr. Jonathan Reed after they saw this video.
On camera. And then he came back like a minute later. It was amazing. People were clapping. Bull crap. All right. There was no crowd watching this happen. That was post-edit, probably YouTube cheering, you know, how they give you the free audio stuff. That's what it sounded like. It was totally fake. You can see where there was an edit to make it look like he disappeared. And when he came back, you can see the same type of heavy static, you know, and you can see the change. It's made well, but there's a lot of mistakes. I can't even speak. I don't, you know, you asked me if I thought this guy was legitimate or did he fake, you know, everything. I'm gonna have to say, yeah, I think the guy's full of it. I can't find anything on him now that's current. His website is under construction. It's been that way for a long time, supposedly. Anything I could find on him is old, so nothing new. I don't know if anybody else who's working on this project for Third Phase of Moon found anything new, but I didn't. And, you know, just like I thought when I originally saw this years ago, it looks good, but it's bad. And there's a lot of problems with the story. Even though the guy seems sincere, he had a long time to practice that story. He's been telling it forever.
Yeah, it's been kind of interesting right here at Third Phase of Moon. We kind of came up with a kind of concept on going over these old case files backing up to the 1980s and even the late 90s. And Jonathan Reed, he kind of came up. He's an obvious choice to go over this old case file right now. And we're taking a look at it again, and there's a lot of compelling things to it. And then there's some things that kind of gives a dead giveaway as screaming a hoax. Again, right here at Third Phase of Moon, we're just going over the facts and kind of giving our best judgment on what's really going on here. But I think the best way to solve this mystery is to get Dr. Jonathan Reed right here at Third Phase of Moon. So if you're watching this video right now, Dr. Jonathan Reed, reach out to us right now at Third Phase of Moon.
I have tried to track him down to contact him myself. Unfortunately, to no prevail. He seems to be kind of staying out of sight. So until we could actually speak with him personally, we can't really say exactly whether it's real or not. I'm leaning towards the encounter as a real encounter, but later in his notoriety, I think it might have gotten blown up a little bit, kind of writing that story. Not sure though. But I ask these questions. If he's not making money doing this, then why is he spending all of the money designing, building, creating special effects by himself, mind you, going out and videotaping it, passing off the death of a dog, which for me was an emotional connection with the story years and years ago when it came out, because I'm an animal lover, so immediately I remember this story. Now, the video or the audio of the creature making all the noise while it's like a burrito in the refrigerator, the meat locker, was some spooky stuff.
I felt like I had to try to document this.
Of course.
So I took my camera and I took the recorder and I turned it on. And I again opened the freezer, and that's when I recorded this sound.
Would you play the sound for us once again, please?
Yes, I will. Hold on.
Okay, here it comes.
Now, for someone to put all this together, you'd have to be really good in special effects, camera, editing, to give it that electronic glitch effect, all these things. I don't see Mr. Reed being that individual. I just don't. I do have my doubts. But I don't see the encounter as being an unreal event. I think something may have happened with evidence, video, the alien on camera, the ship close up. It's too compelling to dismiss.
It all started November 11th, 1987. Ed Walters noticed something strange in the skies over his prominent neighborhood, Gulf Breeze. He saw a bright light in the skies and went for his Polaroid in his house, went outside and proceeded to take the most incredible pictures that we've seen. I remember when I was a kid, I'd rush to all the bookstores, any shopping mall, and if they had a bookstore, I'd run to the counter and pick up this book, The Gulf Breeze Sightings. We're gonna be going over it in this incredible episode. Some of the evidence in this book, it could be the most controversial hoax ever or the most incredible sighting, along with evidence that we've seen in a long time.
There was a series of 6 photos that was captured by Ed Walters on November 20th. On a late evening, he said he saw a star-like object ascend from the sky, and he got a series of incredible photos. Let's take a look at them right now. What I liked about these set of photos, you recognize a few things that add to its legitimacy. Notice as a UFO moves behind the cedar tree, it moves from left to right, and at a few moments you do see that it's actually behind the tree itself. If this was an illusion, it would have to be some sort of manipulation going on, and we don't see that.
In this image where Francis is dodging this beam of light is intriguing. Could it be fake? Absolutely. Could it be superimposed? Because this was, as they say, back in the day. And technology wasn't as advanced as it is today. So, impossible to create? No, not at all. Possible. But sometimes when you see something, you just have that pull towards it going, there's truth to this. You know, that gut feeling. So that, something that...
Hey, Billy, I know it sounds preposterous. It sounds preposterous when I say the words. But in good faith, I tell you that I ran out in the street, saw this thing going over, and was struck by a blue beam. Now, does the military have some kind of ability to do that? I don't think so. But if they do, I want to know about it. It is our right as Americans to know what we are funding our government to do.
The one with the dog. Oh, yeah, that, okay. So, I guess Ed is in the shower. So somebody took this picture with the dog in between where the little UFO supposedly is, right there in, looks like an archway, doorway. And Francis took, I guess whoever Francis is, took the picture as the dog's doing this, like looking back at Francis, looking at the UFO, looking at Francis. It's a little UFO, but darn it, it looks so silly. It looks fake, but what if it isn't? That was in 1988. He was at his wit's end, wanted this all to end. A voice comes out of the UFO and says, "Zihas, sleep and know." And know what? So, I guess the message was there for... I mean, whatever happened, really? Do we know? It's very frustrating to see this picture. I want video. I want to see the video of that little UFO. But I don't know, man. It's, you know, when they start crying about it wanting to end, in my mind, I'm thinking he doesn't want to do this anymore. Whether he's doing it intentionally to pull a hoax or he really is being affected by aliens visiting him. We'll never know.
In 1987, the Gulf Breeze location was inundated by UFO sightings. And not only Ed Walters and his wife Frances experienced this, other people in the area noticed it as well. Engineers, physicians noticed the exact same thing that Ed Walters captured on his Polaroid. What's amazing is that Ed submitted his evidence, his Polaroid photos, to a local newspaper, and he remained anonymous. They published the photos, other people in the neighborhood noticed the exact same object, and then Ed Walters came forward and wrote this book. As Ed Walters builds up his archives of photographic and video evidence, there's one photo that stands out among the pack, an incredible shot from inside the car. He pulls over and captures the most astounding photograph that you could imagine.
Now, granted, the images that we see in the book look like they could be made for a TV film or a movie, sci-fi of that nature, and so that has me raise an eyebrow. Then we see the image of the UFO hovering over the road, and the light from the bottom of it is lighting up literally almost 12-13 feet across, almost half of a 2-lane road, and it lights up really good because of the distance. It's only looks like maybe 1.5 feet above the ground.
See, that is the iconic photo, right? The one where you see it has little portholes in it. You know, it looks like a craft that was just hanging out over the road. Yeah, you can even see, I think there was light, right? The reflection of light on the road. That's what people saw. Now later on down the road, people were trying to say, oh, they found like a model of it up in the guy's attic months after he had left, and it's a pretty important picture because that may be a real UFO, and we're just all going to assume that it isn't because it's too good to be true. I've fallen into that category so much. Just, you take things with a grain of salt, and if it's real, and we'll find out eventually. Usually we always find out the answers, but that iconic picture, it looks so good, it better be real. That's all I have to say, because people reported seeing that, and exactly that, which is amazing.
Looking at it very closely now, it would be very hard to manipulate this unless it was some kind of trick, like a double exposure. But shooting through a windshield and looking at the dimensions of this craft and the reflection on the street itself proves to me that whatever this object is, it's there, and it seems quite large. In my opinion, it's about 20 to 30 feet. The detail in the photograph is incredible. You can make out portholes in the object itself. It seems metallic. What kind of person or extraterrestrial being is piloting this?
During these mass sightings around Gulf Breeze, during these years, I was thinking, could there have been a mass inflatable helium balloon-like UFO-shaped structure? Is that what we're looking at in the skies? These could be built and manufactured. Let's just say somebody was on the side of the road, they brought out the inflatable and had a couple helium tanks and just pumped this thing up. It would take about 3 to 4 hours to blow this thing up into proportion and actually have a floating object. Is that what we're seeing?
As we look at the other photo, which is a daytime photo showing the grass burnt in a round pattern where this UFO supposedly was, we see that the grass is burnt. It's different from everything else because it's dark and burnt, and it's around 12 feet in diameter, and that's around the good width of a car, you know, a car lane. So there's some stuff leaning me in that direction that Gulf Breeze is real. And the fact that there's so many witnesses. I saw something out there when I was there, but it could have been anything. It was foggy. It was misty that day. So I'm never dismissive. I like to make sure that we look at all the possibilities. And this could be a hoax, but it also could be real.
The crop circle, yeah, or dirt circle in this situation, right? He had this, yeah, you can see the picture of it. I think it's a black and white picture, but it shows a circle where there was grass, and it's in black and white, but it's hard to tell. I zoomed in on it and everything, but he said this circle appeared behind his house and was about 12 feet across, I think, and 12 meters. I can't remember either one. It was a 12. He said it was about the same size as the craft that he saw. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I've had strange experiences through my life. The reason I'm in this. One night, there were circles on a night where weird stuff happened. So I think these circles are from the UFOs that land. Some of them, not all of them do it maybe, but for whatever reason, it's almost like they're marking their landing area. Or maybe that's just a distortion from the field that's generated from the UFO. It's interesting. There were the soil samples that they took from his circle did not show why the grass died or why there was a circle there. So that's a mystery. Who knows if it's there made by rodents or what? I don't know, but it's another part of the puzzle, and if the guy's telling the truth, it's pretty important.
It's an interesting case. Ed Walters had contact with an alien being. He explains early morning he noticed this strange, like, shielded being, as he calls it, was behind the porch window. He gave chase and the thing ran off into the fields, and then he was shot by this blue beam, and he said he was basically immobilized by this blue strike of the beam. As he was able to regain control of himself, he saw the alien flee, and he took a picture. And he noticed this blue beam coming from this UFO craft. He said it may have teleported him up into the ship itself. It's a pretty wild photo. I like what we're looking at here. And you could tell it was shot off in the distance. And what's creating that blue beam? This is not easy to produce or duplicate if you're trying to reenact what we're looking at here. It's a very curious picture. And again, it leads to more legitimacy into this story.
Hey, Billy, I know it sounds preposterous. It sounds preposterous when I say the words. But in good faith, I tell you that I ran out in the street, saw this thing going over, and was struck by a blue beam. Now, does the military have some kind of ability to do that? I don't think so. But if they do, I want to know about it. It is our right as Americans to know what we are funding our government to do.
Well, I guess he was in the pool, and the UFO appears. And it's been going on for a while. At this point, I think he's been abducted. He's dealing with all sorts of weirdness around him, he says, missing time and who knows what, abductions. That picture of him with the towel around his waist and going, I want it to stop! Land or stop or get out of here. I've done it. I've done it. Not to a detailed craft, but to a dot in the sky. You know, you hope it's real. I never had an experience like he did or says he did. But I can imagine being frustrated. If he's being abducted, I guess he really isn't having any conversations with them or anything like that to put him at ease or whatever. But it's interesting. That picture looks, I don't know, it looks real, but it doesn't.
He claims to have been abducted, and in fact, the mayor of his own town, Ed Gray III, has denounced this case as a hoax. I agree for many reasons.
I've never said that I've been abducted. I said...
You have never said that?
I have never, quote, read my lips. I have never said that I've been abducted.
But you take what these people on this, you know, this episode that Oprah did, and they're basically dismissing him, saying, no, it was all time, it was this model that we ended up finding in his wall, you know, after he had moved out. we have a kid that said, yes, I did it, he paid me, yada, yada, yada. Well, if you wanted to dismiss the truth, you set it up pretty easy to say, hey, here it is. Now, if there wasn't that image of the saucer over the road so close to the ground, lighting it up as it did, I would probably lean more towards it could most likely be a hoax. But if they said what was used in these photos is an absolute truth, that it was this model, how would this little model that a young man made be able to cover the distance of 12 to 13 feet?
The prank that was pulled by putting a model in a house that I used to live in a year and a half ago was an effort by whomever to discredit the sightings. And it shows me that there is a very definite cover-up going on trying to make this phenomena go away.
Oprah Winfrey. You asked me, I remembered Oprah Winfrey had Walters on her show, and with Philip Klass trying to debunk everything he said.
And you have 2 convicted felonies on your record. You served time, once for forgery, once for car theft. So I choose to believe Mayor Ed Gray III.
What do you say? Okay, you have to.
It seemed like a hit piece to me. It seemed that they knew that Ed Walters was going to come on, and they had some debunker trying to discredit his evidence. But I like the way Ed Walters defends himself in this video.
And any big case that happens across the United States will be ridiculed. And I've heard these same stories, unsubstantiated stories about models and witnesses coming forward over and over, and there's no truth to them.
To dismiss his story, the audience members felt like they were shills, plants, actors, with information to, disperse. Ed stood his ground, and then we had this other gentleman who wanted to debunk him with all this information. And some of the stuff he talked about made me question, but then there's other stuff that makes me go, there couldn't be any other explanation. So one of the things is on this show, they had audience members come up and say, well, me and my friend saw this episode where a little boy found this, or they found this model in the wall of the house he used to live in years before, and this little boy came forward and said, yes, he paid me to help him put all this together and whatnot. Highly feasible. Totally feasible. But it's usually for somebody that wants to make money. And from what I've gathered, Ed hasn't really made any money off this. So it seems like just a really bad investment if it was to be a hoax.
When I was an 18-year-old boy, I did get in trouble with the law. But what that has to do with UFOs, only Phil Klass knows. Now, this type of ridicule is the same thing that the government does to virtually every high-profile UFO case.
On the Oprah Winfrey Show, he did a really good job. Oprah didn't do a lot of UFOs, but in 2007, I was contacted by the Oprah Winfrey Show to be a possible guest on there with other ufologists at the time, and one of them who was going to be on the show is no longer around. He's in prison, but I warned them about this person, and they, I think, went with him over me. But just to let you know, it's amazing that even the Oprah Winfrey Show is looking for people in ufology. At least back then they were. So it's not out of the norm for something like this to be on Oprah, I guess. Pretty amazing.
No matter what you say about Ed Walters and Francis in regards to their incredible evidence, I think Ed has left it up to us to decide whether it's real or not. And in my opinion, it's not only Ed Walters and his wife's experience, but the whole neighborhood of Gulf Breeze that experienced this incredible wave of UFOs during the time. What the heck was going on over there?
During the last 2.5 years, hundreds of my neighbors and...
You say you know what you saw.
I know what I saw because I have the photographs to prove what I saw was not a helicopter or an airplane. People came forward by the droves, dozens and scores of people saying, yes, that's exactly what we saw.